we have a lot of friends who are the generation that you are trying to recruit. And the biggest thing that they mention is they want to work for people that are nice. It is insane how much people cannot find a nice boss.
Are you wrapping cars more than 12 hours a day, every day? Working nonstop but can barely get by? Burnout, missing deadlines, and wondering just how much longer you can keep this up?
That was us too. We started our wrap shop buried under $250,000 in debt, and it felt absolutely impossible. But we dug out, built a profitable shop, and are still in the trenches of owning and operating a wrap shop. We're here to share what we learned along the way so that you don't make the same mistakes that we did.
And we're here to help you with the business side of the wraps, like pricing, building a team, streamlining your systems, ultimately so that you can run your shop and your shop stops running you.
Welcome to the Wrap Ops Podcast, brought to you by Wrap Fam Unleashed.
My name is Tanor, and I'm pretty stoked about what we're going to be talking about today. It's definitely a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is on building a career versus building a job for the people that you are trying to hire for your wrap shop. But before we get into it, if you are listening to this episode on the day that it came out, that means that this week we are at ISA. And we're super stoked because we will be doing a bunch of guest interviews live in our first ever booth at the conference. And I also want to do a huge shout out to the Wrap Institute and to ISA for helping us get there. We would not be able to have a booth at this event if it was not for their help. And the Wrap Institute, of course, is a great sponsor of ours. So make sure that if you aren't a member yet, that you subscribe to therapinstitute.com, and you can use promo code WrapOps15 for 15% off of your subscription. And if you don't know my little claim to fame on that, the Wrap Institute is responsible for making us learn how to wrap, and it made our wraps not suck, to put it bluntly, I guess you would say. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you are hiring people and you are writing that job description, you need to be asking yourself, is this just a job or is this part of a career ladder? Can this person grow within the company? I say this from a lot of experience. We've done it almost that way, one way, the other way, every way in between, where we're like, you know what, we just need someone to clean cars. So we're just going to put an ad out for someone who can clean cars, interview some people, bring them in, and then see what happens. And every single time that person was out the door within 6 months, if not faster. And then we kind of swung the other way where we're like, we're the best business ever to work for. Come work for us. You will have a lot of fun. We have no benefits. We have low pay. And, but you can really build a career here. You get to work with the founders. And if you do really well, you will move up. But we had no details of how you move up, what moving up looks like, what the pay structure was. It was just kind of ideas in our head that we would promise, but it wasn't laid out. And then finally, we put a lot of effort into developing our career ladder. So at our personal shop, we have what we call a shop operations assistant, which a lot of the times is actually filled by someone at like a high school level that's interested in getting into the industry. And they make a certain amount of pay, and their job is to clean cars and clean the shop. They can get promoted up to basically like a junior installer apprentice, if you will, and they will make an additional, they'll have a additional pay bump, and then they can work their way up as their skill increases on the install side of things. So someone who only knows how to wrap a commercial van will make less pay than someone who could do a color change on a Lamborghini, for example. So it's very skill-based and it's very laid out. It has, once you do this, you make this pay. And then there's even positions beyond just installer, because I really want to motivate my team to think even bigger and think into leadership, into management. What different avenues could they grow into to make this more of a career for them versus an hourly job, if that's what they're looking for. So all of that is mapped out, and I even put it in my job description. And I cannot tell you how many times in the interview process I have gotten compliments from people saying that they really wanted a job here because they loved that they could clearly see how they could advance, what the benchmarks were to advance, and what the corresponding pay was. So they could say, I want to make $25 an hour, and see exactly what it would take for them to make that dollar amount. It also gets rid of all of the very uncomfortable raise conversations where someone comes to you and says, I think I deserve a raise. And you go, okay, why? And then they pitch themselves. It gets rid of that because now it's, well, in order to get a raise, you need to be able to wrap this. So what can we do to be able to prove that you are able to do this on time, consistently, and at a certain speed and quality level? So that is my huge number one thing on building a career instead of just a job for someone. The other benefit of doing this type of layout is you get more serious people on your team. And I don't mean serious as in stoic and like they don't laugh and have fun, but you have people that want to grow with you. So we used to hire a bunch of people who, for example, were college students and they said, I really want to be a doctor, which I love. That's great. I want to support you and I want you to go be a doctor. But for my business, it is hard if I have a whole staff of people that are just kind of using the shop as just a stepping stone. You can always have a few of those people, but you can't have a whole team of that type of person. So you need to have people who want to grow with the business, who are going to wear your merch, who are going to rock you and show up eager to learn. And then they want to kind of climb that ladder, if you will, and grow with the company. So alongside that goes with the thing that I feel like I repeat the most on this podcast, which is my second biggest thing in creating a career and not just a job for someone. And that is those one-to-one meetings that I harp on so hard to you guys and I talk about all the time. It is such a huge unlock when you can start meeting regularly with every single member of your team and seeing where their head's at. Are they happy? Are they not? What can they work on? What are they doing great at? All of those things, just this regular communication interval, it solves so many problems, but it also gives you a time to review. Hey, I know you want to make this pay, or I know you are wanting to go into management. Let's review how that progress is going. So it really sets up a time for you to do that. And that allows you to support the growth of that human being versus just trying to build your shop. Which, yes, we all want to build a wrap shop and we all want to do great and have this huge team and make a lot of revenue and XYZ. But also we need to be supporting the individuals who work for us and making sure that they are growing their strengths and becoming better as an employee, as a professional, as just a well-rounded person. And from my experience, I have found that when you support people that way, they will support you back. So remember that your staff are people and you need to pour into them if you expect them to pour into you. It's a little silly to expect them to be all in on your business when it's very obvious that you only care about a transactional relationship with them. You wrap this car, I give you money, then you go home, goodbye. That's just a tough relationship to have, especially if you're trying to go with the younger generation. So, take it from me and Andrew. We have a lot of friends who are the generation that you are trying to recruit. And the biggest thing that they mention is they want to work for people that are nice. It is insane how much people cannot find a nice boss. So be the boss that you would want to work for. And I promise you that it will benefit you and the fruits of your labor will be fulfilled. So big recommendation on that. Now, on top of building a career and not just a job, you need to think more than just pay and what benefits can you give that employee. And before I give you the details on that, we're going to take a quick break right here and give a moment to our amazing sponsors to tell you what is happening. And while we're doing that, go ahead and share this episode or share the podcast in general with another wrap shop owner or maybe an installer who's going out on their own that could use some of this advice. We will catch you when you get back.
After years of running a wrap shop, I've learned this. Your supplier should be a partner, not a question mark. That's why we trust Grimco. For over 5 years now, they have delivered on time and backed us when it mattered most. There's enough to manage in this business. Your supplier should not be one of them. Set up your new account today. Use code WrapOps5 for 5% off your first order with Grimco.
Welcome back to the Wrap Ops podcast. Thank you so much for staying with us. And we're going to dive right back in to that big thing that is going to make it seem more like a career versus a job. And this is extending beyond pay. And this is going into the benefits conversation of the interview, of the job, whatever you're going to post on your job listing, what you're going to say in that interview process, those types of things. So, of course, you're going to get asked about health insurance. Health insurance is such a tough one for a small business, especially if you're going out on your own. We could probably do a whole separate episode on how our shop specifically does health insurance, but I can tell you we lost people all the time when we did not offer health insurance. So try to look into that and figure that out for your team. It is a really big deal, especially if you are trying to attract someone who's older than, I believe it's 22 or 26. I'm blanking on what the exact number is, but the number when they get cut off of their parents' insurance and they have to have their own insurance. So number one, look into that health insurance for them. Number two would be some sort of retirement plan. I feel this also attracts individuals who are thinking about their future, who are thinking ahead. So if you can do some sort of match program on a retirement plan, that is huge as well. Then you have other benefits such as PTO. In my opinion, PTO is one of the easiest things that you can give to an employee as a benefit. And you'd be amazed how much they sometimes don't even use it. So you want to create your PTO policy. At our shop, I make it a use it or lose it. And I'm very upfront about this. It's not hidden. Our team will get a week of PTO on their 1-year anniversary. So they get it immediately added. We actually use QuickBooks for this, and it will automatically add those days for you. And if you use the QuickBooks timesheets for your staff to clock in and clock out, when they request days off through the QuickBooks app, they can actually request if they want it to be paid or unpaid. As someone who's doubling as the HR person and also running a business and wearing so many hats, that has been a huge unlock. So a big tangible pro tip for you here: QuickBooks for payroll and timesheets is really a game changer for a small business. I'm sure there's other amazing softwares out there, but we were already on QuickBooks, so just kind of integrating it all together and not having a million apps has been really useful. Another PTO thing that we do is birthdays. So we advertise that anyone who works for us, they get their birthday off and it is paid. So that is kind of our birthday gift to you. I do want to say, as someone who loves birthdays and as the owner of the shop, I always felt this pressure that on someone's birthday, I needed to go like mother mode and buy them a cake and do a card and everyone needs to sing to them and, just like throw a mini party during lunch. As the team grew, that got harder and harder and harder, especially as my role changed, where I'm not so much in the back with the install team specifically, to where I didn't really know what to get them because I didn't know them as well as I used to when I was in the back with a squeegee in my hand rapping with them. So this kind of doubles as a way to get you out of that, because they can now go celebrate their birthday on the day of with family, friends, whoever they want to. And I'm sure they're happy that they got the day off and that it's paid. That being said, another benefit, and this isn't one I put on the job description, but another benefit is we do a team lunch every other week. I believe on Thursday. Sometimes the day changes, and we actually have an employee who is even in charge of this. And so I don't even set up this lunch. It completely happens without me, which is great. The more that you can take off of your plate and delegate to a member of your team, the better. And it seems like they enjoy this. So I think it's a win-win all around. But anyway, if it is your birthday week, you get to pick what restaurant that you get for lunch. So a lot of people really like that. And again, that's just a small benefit. I don't think that if you read some very fancy business book, it would say, give them their birthday off paid. But I found it's a nice little perk. And go ahead and use that if you want for your own team. Other PTO things too is your major holidays, of course, and any little extra you can throw. Like we always do 4th of July, kind of those big holidays. We don't do bank holidays, as I call them. So, Columbus Day, Martin Luther King Day, the ones that the banks close for, we are still open for those. But Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Memorial Day, those are paid holidays off at our shop. So PTO is a good one. And what I was mentioning earlier, we have a strict use it or lose it policy. This is actually new as of 2026. We did not do this last year. And the reason was because I noticed my team members were racking up PTO. At the time last year, we accrued differently than what I told you earlier about on their anniversary date. And they were not using it. And it really goes against what I, as the owner, wanted the PTO to be used for. I want my team to go on vacation. I beg them, please, please go take a mental break, leave the shop, go hang out with your family, your friends. There's more to life than work. Please take your vacation. So I'm hoping that this year, by the use it or lose it policy, that they will take some vacations and enjoy themselves and come back refreshed. I can't really do much more than that. I can't force someone to take a vacation outside of that. That's about as close as I can get. And even if they take a staycation, even if they don't go anywhere and they just take a week off at home, but they're getting paid for it, they just get to rest and relax, that is good enough for me. So we'll have to report back on how that does. And I think that's a cool part of this podcast that I just want to sidebar and tangent on real fast is, me and Andrew, we're in the weeds of it right now. We are running the day-to-day of the shop. We're doing all the back-end stuff, hiring, firing, advertising, sales, you name it, we're doing it. And I think that's such an interesting perspective because we get to report back and say, okay, we tried this and it exploded, or we're going to try this, or we're actively trying it. So I hope you guys find that as a benefit as well, that we're kind of narrating our journey as we go through it with you. But we do have the prior 10 years of experience of things that we have done super wrong. And the whole building a job and not a career one is a huge one that we messed up so many times. And moving on to my very last one. This one kind of goes hand in hand with your website. So if you think about it, when someone is looking for a job, let's say for an installer, we'll go with that position, they might go to Indeed first. And you might have a job out on Indeed, and that's all great and dandy. I love Indeed, and I talk about Indeed all the time. But something I do want you to remember is that you most likely, and you should, have a website for your business. Does your website have a careers page? Not a job page. A careers page. This just kind of hit me one day out of the blue. I can't remember. I was on someone else's website, not like a wrap shop, but looking for some sort of service or whatnot of my own. And I saw that they had a careers page and it just hit me like a brick. I'm like, why do we not have a careers page? So I did all this research on different career pages that these large companies do, like HubSpot and YouTube and Netflix and Airbnb. What are these giant companies? How do they try to get their employees? How do they attract their talent? And they all had this phenomenal careers page. So I did all of this research and I kind of tried to put it together in a career page of our own. And it's still a living document, it's still a work in progress. It's definitely not perfected, but I really like that we have that careers page on our website so that if someone hears of our name or is referred to us, they can go directly there, find that link, and they can learn why they should work with us. So I want to use that careers page to talk directly to talent that I'm trying to recruit. And a big unlock that we have recently had a lot of success with. And I'm actually talking about the past 2 weeks. We've had 2 people use this and we had some great conversation. We actually have a link at the bottom of our careers page where if you are looking for a job that is maybe not listed on there, or you're just interested in a job with us, you can actually book a 15-minute conversation with me or Andrew, and we will not really interview you, but just have an open conversation of here's where we're at in hiring, here's what we're looking for, and kind of add these people to the talent funnel so that even if I'm not hiring an installer right now, when I am, I know exactly who I'm reaching out to first. It's the person who kept calling me and reminding me they wanted a job. And then they're going to go through the normal interview process. So they still have to go through the interview process. They still have to go through all those checks and balances, but they kind of get their name bumped to the front of the line because they express so much interest, and typically they follow up with me a lot after. So another quick, tangible tip that you could use to better your business is just put a little booking link on there. I don't know why as owners we try to separate ourselves so much from people who want to work for us. We don't even put our numbers out on that Indeed ad because you're like, I don't want these random people calling me. But I kind of do. So if it gets out of hand, I would probably add more barriers to it, ask more questions on that booking form of, this is who this forum is for. Like if I was getting, 10 calls a week and it was absolutely wasting my time, I would change it. But so far it's gone really well. And I also think it takes a certain person to book a phone call with me, because now you're talking to me, quote unquote, face to face. You're not just emailing me, you're not messaging me. So it actually weeds a lot of people out, because people are a little more timid than you think when it comes to talking to an employer directly. A few other benefits that you can add to your job description. On these, I want you to think outside of the box. So let's not be super corporate-y. Let's think, if you worked somewhere, what is something that you would like? This is a little bit more probably for the installer role. Again, that seems to be what most people are hiring for. Of course, when you're hiring for salespeople or upper level management, these perks don't necessarily apply. But a big one that we've had a lot of success with is advertising that it's a headphone-friendly job and atmosphere. There's a lot of people out there that just want to show up to work and put headphones in and zone out and get the job done and get paid for it. And we love those employees. So there's a place for employees like that. And then there's a place for the employees that talk a lot and interact with everyone. And I love a healthy balance of all of that. Another perk too, and this one's a little near and dear to my heart, is we specifically advertise that we are female and family friendly. I actually have a couple girls that work at our shop that said that is the reason that they submitted their application, was that little bullet point alone. So a lot of the industry is male dominated, and there's really no reason for that. I mean, girls are amazing installers, front desk people, sales people. All of the jobs, girls are just as capable as doing as boys are. So I put that in there just to kind of push any female who may be on the fence about applying to work with us. I just go ahead and say, hey, we're female and family friendly. I love that you have a family. I love that you have kids. Love it. Great. Bring it. Come work with us. Another one that, again, is a little bit more outside of the box is paid training. Why aren't we advertising? If we are taking the time as upper level management to train these people on the clock, they're getting paid for it, put that on there. That is a huge thing I get asked for all the time is training free or do I get paid? And most people are super thrilled that it is paid training. So if you do that, advertise that. We also advertise that you have those one-to-ones, those frequent check-ins with management. So think of all the awesome things that are reasons why someone may want to work with you, and put it as a bullet point on there, even if it feels a little bit silly. I felt silly putting headphone friendly, but I'll be darned, it worked. So don't be afraid to try things that may be a little unconventional and maybe you haven't ever seen in a job ad before. It's okay to step outside of the box. So those are my big 5 tips on how to create a career instead of a job. And I hope I broke it down into some tangible things that you can turn around right now and implement into your wrap shop. And if you found this episode helpful, again, I hope you like it. And please subscribe if you are not subscribed to our podcast. We try really hard to make sure that you walk away from every single episode with a little bit of homework, a little bit of something that you can implement so that you can better your business, so that you get a little free time back in your life, because that's why we're all doing this, right? Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everyone who is a guest interview for us at ISA. And that will be the next few episodes. We will have all of those guest interviews posted and live, and I can't wait to share them with you. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will catch you next time.
The Wrap Institute, the largest online wrap training platform, now with a special offer. Use our code WRAPOPS15 for 15% off your order.